Good afternoon, mamas. This is Devin with Homeschool House Calls, and we are with Susan from Homeschool and Supermoms. And today, look, I have bullet points. We are going to talk about how to know when to call this year quits. Um, I get this question a lot from a lot of mamas. We're at the end of the year, we're tired, we're exhausted, and I will have mama after mama ask me permission to stop teaching. And so we're going to talk about how to evaluate whether you can and whether you can't. And honestly, most of the time you can. So it's not, like I told Susan, it's not rocket science. I'm just going to help you break it down a little bit. My first thing, okay, so I was talking to my friend. Okay, for those of y'all who don't know me well, I have a homeschool. I call her my homeschool bestie. I have many homeschool besties. But Melissa, I have known since before, gosh, I think I met Melissa when Gabriella was 9 months old, maybe 9 months old. I met them at a homeschool art class. She had much older children, and we're about the same age. I don't mean to sound like she's old. She's not old. She's me and Miss Susan's age, and I love her. But she had walked several steps ahead of me, and so she was the one that really kind of took me under her wing and trained me in a lot of things. And even now, if I'm confused, sometimes I'll pick up the phone and say, what do you think about this for my high schooler? And she'll give me her opinion. And sometimes I take them and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go back to her later and say, I should have listened to you. But she's awesome. But she won't teach anything. She won't do workshops for me. She's like, I've moved on. I've graduated my kids. I've now got grandbabies. I'm not doing this. And that's okay. As long as she listens to me and she answers my questions, it's okay. So I was running some ideas by her when I started talking about this with Susan, and she has very definite ideas, and she's probably not as lenient as me, but she was actually more lenient than I was when I asked her about this. So anyway, so her first criteria that she wanted y'all to know, and she told me to tell y'all, and I agree with her. So Susan will agree too. If your mental health or your children's mental health is at stake, it is time to stop school.
We all reach that point of burnout, and it's time to refresh and renew. And if you think your kids need to refresh and renew,
if you are losing your cool with your children, it's time for a break. And that's okay. See, you're going to give yourself permission today that it's okay. Another thing that her and I both, if you're losing your connection with your children, it is time for a break. Connection is really, really important in the long run, especially when you get high schoolers. If you don't have that connection base, you're not going to be able to homeschool long term. So those are the two things she started with. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is one of the easy ones today. Let's see, I have a comment. Okay. Hey, Joanna.
Hey, Joanna. We're glad you joined us.
Okay. So the basis of this, how do you know you can stop that curriculum? This is how you know. If you've finished 80% of the curriculum or more, that's about 144 days or lessons, you can safely call it quits, because most schools, public school, private school, most schools only do about 80% of the curriculum or 80% of the textbook. So that is kind of like your guideline. And it's really, really easy to get to that 140-day threshold. I mean, really, it's really easy. But the thing is, if you're there, then you can call it quits. Most curriculum will have review in the next section in that first month. So don't feel like you have to finish every single lesson in your curriculum. So that is your main, this is your big guideline, but the other stuff, that's important too. See, I told y'all this is a really easy one. There's not a lot to this workshop today. So anyway, but I also put in here, Susan, you got something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, sometimes as homeschooling moms, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we feel like we have to homeschool to the very end of the curriculum and everybody's got burnout and things like that. We have to understand it's okay. Life is busy, and as long as you hit that. Now, when we talk, especially when we talk about high school, we've got to hit that 80% or that 144 days.
You try to finish with high school. You're looking for 140 to 180 days or hours for each class. So hit that 80%. If you feel like you can go further, go further. One of our mamas said, "Wow, I did not know that. I'm like stressing about not being 100% finished." And that's how it happens with homeschool mamas. We forget that the curriculum's a tool. It's not our master. It's not our king. We have not signed any contracts anywhere saying we had to finish every page. You can make that work for you. If you want to finish all the lessons, but you could throw away maybe a couple of the worksheets, you can kind of streamline it. You can make it fit you.
Yeah, and the other is you get so far in your curriculum, you could use that as summertime supplement to help keep things current until the new curriculum, until the fall starts up again or the new school year starts up again.
And that's some of my warnings. Math and language arts, you want those subjects strong. Those are the ones I always did 100%.
But again, you don't have to. You can do the 80% or the 140 to 180. It's totally up to you.
Just because that's what I do doesn't mean you have to do it. That's another thing with homeschooling. You don't have to do everything just like me, like my friend Melissa. You take what you need, and what doesn't work, you throw out the window, and it's okay. Melissa never got mad at me because I didn't do what she said. She probably thought, okay, girl. She had homeschooled better than me, but that's okay. You have to find out what fits. I like my math and language arts to be strong because if something happens, I need to put any children in public school or a private school. They're going to, when they do a placement test or assessment when you go in, that's the two things they're really looking for. But just because I say I want you to do that to be strong does not mean you have to do curriculum. If you're tired and exhausted, you can shake things up. You can put them on Khan Academy where they're doing it on their own, or Prodigy Math, which is a really fun younger kid game. Card games. There's lots and lots. You can go Google on Pinterest and find lots of card games for math. There's lots of math games. You can find online, offline. You can shake things up so that it's fresh, and they feel a little bit happier with it. You feel a little bit happier with it. In fact, one that we play a lot in the summer is called Money Bags, and it's basically teaching them to add and subtract money. I mean,
yeah. And what we do is, we homeschool all year round when it comes to math and language arts and that kind of stuff. We still may hit that 80% by the end of the school year, but we still supplement through the summertime and things like that.
Yeah.
Because to your point, those are the two classes you want to keep strong, or the two skill sets you want to keep strong.
In language arts, I do include phonics with that, because phonics, once you get on that roll and a child is learning how to read, it's just, I wouldn't break that cycle. In fact, I'm going through the summer with Lacey because I don't want to break I don't want to stop her curriculum. So phonics, I would not ever stop. Language arts repeats a lot. What I do in the summer when we need to, for me, when the kids were little and I was exhausted, everything was sacrificable except for math. We would move to phonics, math. Phonics, I would not stop. If they're in a curriculum. If they're not in a curriculum yet, you can do what you're doing off and on all year long. There's lots and lots of ways to reinforce phonics, online, offline. But reading for fun, we would pick that up. So you can do something different to keep the skills fresh. You do not have to finish all that curriculum. There's nobody anywhere who's going to come and say, hey, you're in trouble. If you were doing public school and online, you might get in trouble, but you may not. I don't know. I can ask some of my friends, but as a traditional homeschooler, that's a very rare thing. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of not finishing.
Yeah, you just got a comment that they're confirming what you're saying, that how they
Yeah,
do things for homeschooling. So that's great. And again, we love hearing people confirm, yes, this is how we do it, because it just
yeah.
gives reassurance to additional mamas. So thank you for your
Yeah, because
comment.
we appreciate that because mamas need to know that they're not alone. Because that's what I've heard. I've had y'all know me. I'm a lot in a lot of local groups and national groups, and I've heard this a lot. When can I stop? When can I stop? So your threshold is 144 days, 144 lessons, 80% of the book. If your book doesn't have lessons, you could look at the number of the pages and do 80%. But if you hit about 80% of material, that's about all the public schools and the private schools are going to do. You can't get to everything. I mean,
Yeah.
that's life.
And also remember, if you're supplementing your curriculum with like field trips and like if
Yes.
you're writing watching certain historical movies and things like that, that's part of your curriculum. So it may not be part of the
Yes.
actual book curriculum, but you can count
It
that as
still
part of your
is. Yeah.
80%.
And we
So
all know
so
our
do keep that
homeschool
in
mamas.
mind.
We know our homeschool mamas. They're going way beyond that curriculum. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And I think Joanna brings up a good point here. She says, say no to anxiety.
yeah.
Living is learning, right? Absolutely, Joanna. You are so right. Because, like Devin's talking about language arts. Well, if your kids are reading, like my youngest is an avid reader. So she's always reading as
Mhm.
well. And so living is reading, and cooking in the kitchen is math.
Yeah.
Living is
The
math. So
baking is chemistry.
yeah. So I agree with Joanna. Get rid of the anxiety. We're all doing the best that we can. Continue to do the best that you can, and allow yourself a breather, and finish the curriculum however you wish to. If you want to go to 100% and you want to take
That's
it through the
okay.
summertime, that's great. And if you want to stop at 80% or so many hours, or you want to have, um, you know,
Sorry,
go
I don't know
schooling
how
all year round, things like that, you do that.
I couldn't figure out how to get rid of the
Oh, your
stuff.
banner?
Trying to get rid of
It's
it.
over on the right-hand side, but you're great. You're doing great. That's okay that you showed that comment. That's okay. Yeah, so we appreciate you guys joining us also. So if
Yeah,
you're watching
we
this as a
do.
recording or joining us live, drop us a note, share
So
with us
those of
some
you who are
ideas for
watching,
workshops.
we've got quite a few watching. How many of y'all? Okay, y'all, I'll be honest in the comments. How many of y'all have finished 80%? So just give us a thumbs up or a like or something. Tell us who has hit a, because I'm sitting, when me and Susan were talking about this before we started, and we actually did the math on the calculator to see how many lessons would be 80% for 180 lessons, and I'm thinking to work through the middle. I was going to make them finish. They're actually probably, according to this scale, they could actually be finished before then. And my crazy little homeschoolers usually tell me no when I try to make them finish early, but I may beg them this year. I think we're not over COVID year yet.
No, I don't think so.
What do
And
you think?
even my
Yeah.
even my kids with my online classes are, you can tell that they're finishing up the year, they're tired and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So mamas, make it fun, take a deep breath. They do parties at the end of the school year in public school and private school. Have a little fun, do a little party, have a good time. Celebrate your successes.
Yes,
This has been a
yes. Oh,
this has
that's
been a
important.
tough 15 months, and
It has been
celebrate your
a tough school year.
successes.
Last,
Mhm.
2020, that school year started out. We ended it. It was crazy, and then we went into the fall, and COVID. It's still a COVID year, and we've gone through a tough school year. So yeah, I think we need to celebrate. I think we need to have parties, go to the splash pad, find all the fun books, but definitely get some stuff outside the house because I think we're all a little tired of virtual, just slightly.
I'm not tired of virtual. I like
I
virtual,
like virtual. I
but
like
I think
virtual,
we're all ready
but
for a little
I think
break, no doubt.
we all need that splash pad or that park day. If you're in a local group, schedule a park day and say, "Hey, come meet us." find some people, do some stuff outside. There's ways to safely conduct our playtime. So
Absolutely. And at the very beginning of this workshop, Devin mentioned another homeschool mom that she connects with. And we want to encourage you guys to do that too. We want you guys to find other homeschool moms to get that reassurance from. We're
yeah,
always here for you guys, and we are happy to give you that reassurance. But sometimes it's also nice to have that additional accountability partner you connect with. Devin and I connect with each other.
yeah. Well, you
As
need it.
Devin mentioned,
You
she
need
has another
some.
mom that she connects with. Connect. It's a-okay. Get some support, and it's okay. It's okay if
And
you're
if
done with your
you
school year.
do
It's
not,
okay if you need support.
if you feel like you don't have support, PM me and Susan. I can talk all day. Well, I really can talk all day. I'm a talker. But I mean, we can talk. I may be able
Absolutely.
to find a way to connect you to somebody. We can try.
Absolutely.
Somebody said we do school all year long and take breaks when we need it. However, at
That's
the end,
awesome.
we are part of two co-ops, and they party at the end of May. Also, we like to vacation in May because no one else does that.
That's a great idea. So,
So,
whenever you feel that you have that stress and you need that break, do it. That is awesome. And so you can homeschool any way that you want, and like Devin said, you can
mhm.
stop when you need to, whether you need to, your kids need to,
Yeah,
or maybe it's a whole family thing. It's okay.
yeah. And we homeschool year round. We even do it now, but we will stop the bulk of our school in May, usually end of May, beginning of June. Then StreamYard has permission to see my comments. I just don't know how to do that. I'm not 100% sure. I know that when you sign in, when you first start commenting, you have to give it permission where it'll put your name up there. I mean, I see your comments,
Hmm.
but it just says Facebook user, so I'm not sure who you are. But when I look on my phone, I'll be able to see who you are.
And in the future, when you come to StreamYard events, we'll be able to start seeing your name also.
Yeah, so it's like you have to just give it permission somehow, but I can't remember how to do it right now.
Yeah, and I
But
love
I'm used
Joanna's
to it.
idea. Joanna said, "Let's hit the beach."
Hey, I've been wanting to do
Yes.
that lately. Yeah,
And
I like it.
you can do schoolwork on the beach.
There's so much schoolwork. There's animals and there's waves and there's the moon and there's tides and nature study galore. You can do, yeah, take a good book to read. I don't really like read. The sun's too bright. I don't like reading at the beach for some reason. But oh, it's so much fun. Audiobooks. You can listen to audiobooks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's
Absolutely.
lots of things you can do that you can shake it. If you feel like you need to continue curriculum, you can find ways to shake it up. But if you need to stop, you can stop.
Absolutely.
Curriculum, curriculum's a guide, not a law.
Absolutely. Just keep in mind those guidelines, though, for your high schoolers, because it's a little
Yes,
bit different with the high school
yeah,
years.
high school you have to be a little bit more controlled,
Absolutely.
but you can tone that down too and change things up.
Absolutely.
And if you
Absolutely.
need help, figuring out if you can stop or not, PM me or Susan. We'll look through it and we'll look and see how if you feel insecure. But my whole point of the whole point of this is to tell you it's okay to stop. Work on your connection with your kids. Don't be let overwhelm and exhaustion ruin your connection with your kids.
Absolutely. And remember, 80%, all you got to do, like, let's say it's a workbook and you take the total number of days, you multiply it times zero point 0.8, and that
Yeah,
tells you how many lessons you need to do or how many pages of reading of the curriculum you need to do. So, again, if you're going to stick to those guidelines, if it's under high schoolers, that's okay.
yeah, yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, mamas, this was a quick one today.
We
Y'all
appreciate you guys.
let us know what you need. On Thursday we have say what's the name, Susan? I'm
It
wait.
is, oh, you got it?
No, y'all know I never remember how to say it. I can tell you what it's about. It's
Yes.
about how to know when your child has dyslexia and if you need help.
Right. What do you do if you suspect your child has dyslexia or is dyslexic, and if you need help? What are your options? What's available to you?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be an awesome resource for us. This is our host or our speaker is from Alabama, but she's going to share stuff that's going to be available, not just in Alabama, but things that you can do some discovery on in other states as well. So I'm so looking forward to this.
Joanna's cracking me up. Um, so, how does it change for high school? High school, you usually want to have 140 to 180 hours. So, if you, per class, that's called a Carnegie hour. So, you're paying attention and making sure what you have for that. Now, you also need to look at your state. If you have a different state than what we have, you may have guidelines that you need to take into consideration. That is something that you need to make sure that you always check your state guidelines. The state that we live in has none. So I think with high school, you can safely end at about 80%. You just want to check your hours and make sure that you have the hours, because sometimes people get confused. And with Carnegie hours, which is how I count, you want the actual hour. It's not so much the lesson. So you
Hmm.
just have to pay attention. And really, it's up to your comfort level. We just usually, you just kind of want to caution to make sure that you make sure if you're under an umbrella school that they are happy with what you're doing, or if you're under state guidelines for graduation. In Alabama, we don't have any. So, I mean, I would say if you finished 80%, and also some classes with high school will build on each other more than, I mean, math always builds on each other, but some classes build on each other, and you would not want to start, say, biology 2, and you did not complete enough of biology 1 so that but, as long as you're paying attention, it should be fine.
Yeah, and I want to elaborate on that. So, how does it change in high school? We did um, you may or may not be aware, Devin and I did a whole series about
Mhm.
high school in the month of April. Devin has the workshops posted on her YouTube channel, and in my group, you can go into the events area and you can pick and choose what workshop you want to take a look at. They're still out there, and we have a whole workshop on credits. So it does
Yeah.
change a little bit. Homeschooling high school becomes a little bit different. So you'd want to check into those. And again, Devin and I are happy to answer any
That's a
questions that you
good,
might
yeah,
have.
that's a good workshop. If you want us to tag you in that, let us know and we can tag you. It just kind of helps with counting the credits. And it's just dealing with credits and dealing with transcripts and making sure your stuff looks beautiful and looks so that you're not being flagged when you're going into a college. So I would not overly stress about it, but you do need to be aware that you want to make sure you're covering everything. So
Right. Hey, Candace, we're glad you joined us. And we got another question that says, so I can stop chemistry at week 29 of 34. That's up to you. Are you doing high school, and what's your state laws? And do you have the number of hours in that's needed if that's a requirement, or 80% of content? Um, so it looks like what you're saying is so I can stop chemistry at week 29 of 34. Again, that's going to be how many hours do you have put in there?
yeah,
If it was
what
like
lesson?
34 chapters, you would do the 34 chapters times 0.8 and you would get that number. So
Yeah,
according to what I calculated out, you definitely would be done. But again, it's all in how the law requirements are for your state.
yeah,
If you've got the requirement done, absolutely. So, and some states, like Devin just said, don't have that requirement, like where we are, and you can do what you feel comfortable with. Devin and I tend to follow what the public school systems do, and even though it's not a requirement in our state, we tend to follow that. So,
yeah. Well, for me, when I make a transcript for my child, I want their transcript and I want their education and their transcript script to be similar to what the public school is, or at least looks similar. I might not use the same curriculum. I might
right.
even present it the same way. but I want it to be similar so that when they're going into the college, they're not being flagged. I don't want them flagged so that they're saying, hey, give me more information on this before we give you. And so I've always tried to keep it similar. Now, what I do is I hit what they say the four core. Well, four, yeah, the four. Trying to put it in there like it's not getting. I try to hit the four core. That's math, science, English, history, and then I will tailor their electives to however their bent are. Now some have been easy, like help. They're my girls are like my two girls, well, my and my boy are all lifeguards. I've used those and I've combined things to make health like a health credit, and it may not be the traditional health credit, but I felt like they had enough that it covered the basics of what the school system would cover. Not that I want to reinvent the public school system. I just don't want them flagged. I don't want to go into a college situation where they're pulling things up and they're making me prove their education. So, I mean, so whatever the class is for U.S. history, I change it to where it's the same name as the public school system. So I'm like, I can tell you, I can talk about that all day long. So their names are similar. The subject matter might be similar. It's just curriculum that I chose. So
right. Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
what we do.
We do too.
And we will be doing, I am going to do a high school. I've started my new little series. I've had several people with questions about high school lately. I'm going to do one on high school. Probably won't be part of that series. I don't know what to call it yet. How do I do high school? How do I do high school? How do I homeschool high school? Yeah, that works. So we're going to do that. I have at least 4 or 5, I know. So that'll be in the next couple of weeks. I need to get past another graduation. I have another graduation this weekend, and then I'll start looking at my calendar and when to do that one. So
yeah, and if you guys think of ideas for workshops that you would like,
yeah,
things
let
that
us
would help you in your
know.
homeschooling journey, let us know, and we'll be happy to. If we know that information, we'll be happy to share it. And if not, we always tap into guest workshop speakers.
Okay.
So let us know. Keep us posted.
Yeah, let us know what y'all need and what ideas you have, and if you want to PM us and say, hey, can I stop this? So, I mean, we can look at it and help you out if you need somebody to hold your hand. But really, you are able to stop your curriculum before finishing the whole book. It's okay. You are a homeschooler. Be a
Absolutely.
rebel.
You got this.
Be a
You
rebel.
got
You got this.
this.
Yeah, I think that's what they needed to hear. But y'all have a good day, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.